A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us.
So when 9/11 happened, I was recently turned 18 years old. I was a freshman in college, and I was maybe 2 or 3 weeks into my first semester at Illinois State University.
So it was my very first year at Barrington High School, 2001. I was upstairs in the health rooms teaching class.
I can remember I was in my car on my way to a calculus class, driving down the highway.
And I heard the 2 beeps on the loudspeaker. And when you hear those, you always kind of know to stop and listen. And that day, those 2 little beeps just ring in my head.
A department chair from English stopping in and walking through that door and just saying one phrase, the United States is under attack.
So at about 8:50, 9 o'clock our time, I got out of class, and I usually made my way to the student center to get breakfast before my next class. And it was then that I walked into the student center, and there was a TV kind of in the lobby, and there was a huge crowd of people huddled around it.
And I heard it on the radio, and it was something that I didn't want to believe at first, and they weren't really very clear.
And he said that our country has been attacked. And he said, please turn on your television sets.
And the sound was off. I could just see the visuals of it. But I remember walking up, and it was just visuals. I could see that the towers were on fire. And I watched one of the towers fall, and quickly then made my way to my next class.
And so we pulled out the big TV and we turned it on, and we watched the second airplane go into the tower.
And by that point, the towers had fallen. They were just smoldering piles of rubble.
And what I distinctly remember is one of those moments in life where you kind of shut your eyes. You can almost remember exactly where you were standing. I was standing outside a math classroom when I received the update. And the whole energy in the building just slowly diminished, and it became quiet.
And I feel like all day long, the TVs were on and kids were gathering and supporting each other and just wondering what was happening in our country.
So I had a classroom full of students that had heard that news, didn't know what was going on.
That all chaos broke out in the schools. And when I say chaos, it was kids wanting to go home just to be with their parents. It was parents wanting to be with their kids.
And then we learned later on in the day that a lot of kids were getting called out. And we were starting to process a bit more with some of our older students.
But it was this just desire to be with your family and spend that time together and hold each other and just kind of process what was going on in our world.
And it was a really scary thing because you didn't know, what was going to happen and what was going on, and repeatedly seeing the planes going into the towers. It was a really scary thing.
And it wasn't until that evening when I got home that I really kind of to reflect and started to realize the impact of it.
And so it's one of those days that you'll always remember what you were wearing, you'll always remember where you were, and you'll always remember what happened.
Throughout the day and throughout the coming weeks, certainly there was a lot of sadness and fear and misunderstanding about what we were in for as a country, as a world, based on a very devastating and awful day in history.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world. Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.